Texas A&M is undefeated so far this season and 3-0 after a win over Notre Dame in South Bend. But where is their first loss this season going to come?
You are Locked On Aggies, your daily podcast on the Texas A&M Aggies, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome in. You are Locked On the Texas A&M Aggies. I am your host, Matt Galatzan, publisher of Texas A&M Aggies on SI. Thank you for making Locked On Aggies your first listen every single day, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. This episode is brought to you by Mazda. Like our players, we sweat every detail because when you make every move count, pulling off the unexpected is only the beginning. Stay tuned later for highlights in this week's Moving the Game Forward. Mazda, move and be moved. DJ, Texas A&M pulled off a rousing, thrilling, amazing, whatever other words you want to put into it, upset over Notre Dame this past weekend. It was a crazy day of college football. A lot of good games, but Texas A&M against Notre Dame definitely took the cake. Most people picked against Notre Dame. I didn't. I mean, I picked against the Aggies. I didn't. I'm pretty sure you picked Texas A&M to win as well. We were pretty much in a consensus over here about Texas A&M's chances covering that spread and winning the football game. Didn't exactly happen how we expected it to happen, but that's okay. But it brings up the conversation. You know, A&M's undefeated right now. What is their first loss going to be? It's really hard to go undefeated in college football these days. There was only one team that did it last year during the regular season. That was the Oregon Ducks. So the odds of Texas A&M going undefeated are rather slim. So let's kind of put our heads together here and figure out where we think Texas A&M's first loss could be. I'm going to go first here, DJ. I think it's kind of obvious. It's the toughest place to play on their schedule. It's the best team they're playing on their schedule as of right now. Best quarterback they're playing against. Best defense they're playing against. Maybe even the best coach they're playing against, although I'm not exactly a huge fan of this guy. It's the LSU Tigers. In Baton Rouge, Garrett Nussmeier, that defense is a million times better than it was last season. It's going to be at night because LSU plays every SEC game at night in Death Valley, and it's unfair. So, I mean, I think that has to be the first one you look at least. Am I right?
Oh, yeah, 100%. That's always something that has kind of caught my eye. You know, the LSU A&M game, it's really just come down to who's the home team in that game. And they just trade every year. So I really wouldn't be too surprised. One thing that I did notice, though, is that Clemson put up 31 on the Notre Dame defense. And so did A&M put up 41. And I think that the Clemson offense is a bigger what am I trying to say here? Oh, my gosh. The Clemson offense isn't as explosive as the Texas A&M offense. They put up 10 points against LSU. I think Texas A&M can do more than that. I mean, Clemson only had 230 passing yards against the Tigers. You know, Mario Craver had almost that on his own against Notre Dame. So I think the A&M offense is going to be more than what the Clemson offense was and do more against LSU. So I think that's another game that I really think the Aggies could lose that game. But I think they're not going to put up 10 points in that game.
Yeah, it's difficult to kind of gauge what LSU's defense looks like right now because Clemson has looked bad against everyone offensively. Florida and DJ Lagway, I mean, 5 interceptions against LSU, but they've looked bad against everyone. Louisiana Tech isn't exactly the biggest barometer for what your defense looks like. So I get what you're saying. It's highly likely that, you know, by the time Texas A&M and LSU face off. The game's on October 25th. Before that, LSU is going to face Ole Miss, which has a pretty good offense. South Carolina, which who knows if Lenora Sellers will be back. And they'll be at Vanderbilt, who's a pretty good football team, we think. But there's a very good possibility that Texas A&M is by far the best, most explosive offense that they've played up to that point. So I get your point there. Another one that I kind of wanted to point to, and I don't know if you have one here as well, but I'm not going to pick Texas because that's at the end of the season. I think their first loss comes before the end of the season. But man, I don't know. This might make some people mad, DJ. But I honestly think it could be Arkansas.
Okay.
And here's why. Arkansas is a very tricky place to play. They have a really, really explosive offense. Taylor Green is having an amazing year. He's having one of the best. He's been probably the most productive quarterback in the SEC so far this season, alongside Marcel Reed. But he presents a skill set that gives A&M problems. You know what I mean? He's very mobile. They can run the football really well. I don't know. I just feel like that's kind of a trap game. And I know that A&M's a better football team than Arkansas, but if they go through their schedule and they beat Auburn next weekend, they beat Mississippi State, they beat Florida, they're going to be sitting fat and happy by the time they get to October 18th. Like, wow, we're really good. And then that game could just be a trap. I don't think they lose it, but it's one that's like, if it's sticking there for me where I'm like, I don't know. That one might be tough.
That's how I felt about the South Carolina game last year. It's like I just had a feeling all season that they were going to lose that one. But I definitely think that Taylor Green he's one of those guys he's going to give the Aggies issues. It's going to be whether they can, get past those issues, or that's just what's going to determine that game. One game that kind of jumps off the schedule to me is this game coming up, not this Saturday, but next Saturday, the Auburn game. I think the Aggies might have a little bit of a hangover from the Notre Dame celebration going into the bye week. You have that 2-week span, and it's just going to they might be rusty. It just spells disaster to me. They lost to them last year. It just does not make me feel good.
Yeah, I mean, Jackson Arnold's running the ball really well. He's throwing the ball efficiently. That offense has looked pretty good so far, even though they've got 19 different play callers. They have the most talented wide receiver group in the SEC, right alongside Texas A&M. I mean, Eric Singleton and Cam Coleman are two of the best that do it in the entire country. So I feel like that game's going to be another shootout. The one thing that A&M has on its side there is it's in College Station. But I think you're right. I mean, that's a really tough one. The thing is, none of these games I don't think are going to be easy, because you looked at this schedule before the season started and you were like, oh, okay, Auburn probably won't be that good. Mississippi State's Mississippi State. Florida's going to be pretty good. Arkansas is going to suck. And it's the complete opposite for all four of those teams. And you thought South Carolina was going to be good, but they just got trounced by Vanderbilt. Missouri looks a lot better than everybody thought. And Texas looks worse than everybody thought. So this schedule is kind of inverted on what we thought it was going to be going into the season. So it'll be interesting to see if how the Aggies match up against some of these teams that we didn't think were going to be as good as they are. I still think A&M's in the driver's seat to be a college football playoff team right now if they just take care of business. Mike Elko talked about at the Houston Touchdown Club last night. He talked about the mentality of Texas A&M and that sort of stick. Basically, they call it the battered Aggie syndrome, which ostensibly it's this thing that's kind of been following Texas A&M around for the last few years. It's described as a cultural phenomenon among Texas A&M fans, particularly football fans, describing a pervasive pessimism and expectation of disappointment despite past success or a talented team. Mike Elko thinks they can shake that. He talked about it last night. He said, or I guess on a Wednesday, it was either Tuesday or Wednesday night at the Aggie Touchdown Club in Houston. He said, "I'm sorry, but I had nothing to do with the majority of it. You love Texas A&M football, so get excited. Stop being scared and get excited about what this program is doing. It's not fair to look at past failures and eliminate how you feel about where Texas A&M football is going." And I agree with him. This is a different team than we've seen in the past with Texas A&M. I talked about it on our show. I think it was yesterday, about how it's taken him 16 games to get 3 top 10 wins. It took Jimbo Fisher 4 years. So this feels like a different program. It feels like it's moving in the right direction. So even if there's a loss somewhere here on the schedule, I don't think A&M fans need to be too concerned. This is still a really good football team and a legitimate college football playoff contender, in my opinion. All right, let's move on to our next segment. When we come back, we are going to talk about some improvements we think this team still needs to make going forward and how they can utilize this bye week to kind of fix some of those issues. So stick with us and we'll be right back. Today's episode is brought to you by Mazda. This episode is brought to you by Mazda's Moving the Game Forward. For those who believe it's not just about playing the game, it's about redefining it. There are moments that do more than put points on the board. They move crowds, move culture, and keep moving the game forward. This week's moment that moved the game forward, I think it's pretty obvious. It's that final touchdown drive by A&M when they were down 40-34, backs against the wall, have to go down the field and score. And Marcel Reed hits Nate Boerichter in the end zone for a touchdown to take the lead. It's one of the biggest moments that of Aggie football in the last couple of years. It was absolutely massive, and it really pushed them over the top. It's what got them the win, obviously, but it was just one of it's the moment that has kept this team going forward this season, and they really shattered expectations with that touchdown. So when you follow what moves you, the unexpected is only the beginning, and there's just more to every highlight. There's more to a Mazda vehicle. Mazda, move and be moved. Today's episode is also brought to you by Wayfair. The weather's cooling down, the days are getting shorter, and that has me wanting to make my home feel even cozier. And when it comes to cozifying your space this fall, Wayfair is the place to go. Wayfair has everything you need to set the mood for the season, whether it's the comfy recliners, warm bedding, autumn decor, or even an espresso machine so you can make your favorite latte at home. I recently picked up a latte machine for myself. I love my coffee in the morning. It was affordable, it's high quality, and it's completely transformed my kitchen. Cozify your space with Wayfair's curated collection of easy, affordable fall updates, from comfy recliners to cozy bedding and autumn decor. You'll find it all the way for less at wayfair.com. That's wayfair.com. Wayfair, every style, every home. All right, DJ, it's a bye week. This gives Texas A&M, after a very emotional win with Notre Dame, an opportunity to kind of take in the first 3 games, see where they were lacking, see where they were excelling, and really make some adjustments as they head into SEC schedule. It couldn't come at a more perfect time for them, honestly, because you start SEC play next week against Auburn. But there's a couple of things I think that this team really needs to hone in on in terms of, making some adjustments heading into this SEC play. And I think, especially given the fact that Auburn is your first opponent coming out of the gates in SEC play, this run defense still needs some work. I'm not sure exactly how they're going to fix it. Mike Elko has forgotten more about football in the last 30 minutes than I'm ever going to know in my entire life. But what I will say is that something needs to be fixed in terms of, the schematics of this run defense. It's been too leaky. This past week against Notre Dame, they held Jeremiah Love under 100 yards, but he still had a really good day. Jadarian Price also had a really explosive day on the ground for them. It was a huge part of their offense, and against UTSA, it was kind of the same thing. They were able to kind of button it up against Utah State, but there's still something missing in this running game defense. And I think that they need to find it quick, fast, and in a hurry, because you're about to face next week, you're about to face an Auburn defense that, I mean, let's face it, Jackson Arnold is getting anything he wants on the ground right now.
Yeah, they're the run defense, it doesn't feel like, they're just they're in the right spot, but just at the wrong time. It almost feels like they're getting there, but just a second too late, and then these guys that just have the blazing speed just blow right by them. It's not like they're sitting there and missing tackles necessarily. It's not like they're bouncing off guys. It's just they're just in the wrong they're in the wrong spot just at the right time, if that kind of makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Everything's just kind of happening bang bang, and these guys are breaking the long run. It just boils down to a schematics thing, just getting the right plays called at the right time. It's just it's something that I think they'll work out, but we've been saying that for the past 16 games. It might just be the A&M Achilles heel, and they're just going to have to make up for it with their offense with these explosive receivers, because we saw that no matter how much another team scores on them, they can match it. It might just be something that Texas A&M has to live with. Yeah,
I agree. It's kind of the one thing they just can't figure out. Their pass defense hasn't been great either. I think CJ Carr had something like 293 yards through the air. So this whole defense really as a whole needs to figure out a way to kind of button things up, because you're going to face better offenses when you get into SEC play. LSU, for whatever reason, hasn't been scoring a lot of points, but that's a very, very talented offense. Auburn's a very talented offense right now. Lenora Sellers with South Carolina is no joke. Jeff Lebby's got Mississippi State humming on offense right now. So there's going to be a lot of opportunities, for these other defenses or these other offenses to kind of take advantage of this defense if they don't get buttoned up this week. But do you have any other adjustments you think that they need to make?
The biggest thing that just jumped out to me on the screen on Saturday night was the pre-snap penalties. They just have to get that figured out. They had 13 penalties. It's really hard to win a football game when you have 13 penalties. And the fact that they were able to do it at Notre Dame honestly made it a little bit more impressive. But, I mean, Demetrius Crownover had 4 false starts. It's just something that it's a mental thing. It can happen. But I did see that apparently Notre Dame was mimicking the snap count. That's what Mike Elko was trying to say. And yeah, you just can't have it happen. And if they are mimicking the snap count, change it up. Just do something. You just can't have that happen.
Yeah, I mean, I tend to agree with you. I don't particularly buy that, because you saw Mike Elko say they're clapping, and then you went back and watched the replay and nobody clapped. So I was like, okay, where is that coming from? I don't know about that. But they do need to get that cleaned up. Right now, they're averaging 8.3 penalties a game for an average of 63.3 yards. That's good for 9th in the SEC. That is not good. You need to clean that up. It's not as bad as Texas, who's averaging 8.3, or Mississippi State, who's averaging 10 per game. But it's definitely something that if you do this in tight games, it almost bit them in the butt here in this game. They were able to overcome it. I'm not sure that's going to continue to be the case when you face an LSU, or you face a Missouri or a Texas or one of these other talented teams that they're going to face this year. It's something that you just can't have happen. You need to get it cleaned up. And I think if they do that, they're going to be able to stay ahead of the chains. They're not going to be in 1st and 15 or 2nd and 16, and they're going to be able to be a little bit more successful as an offense, which if they can clean that up offensively and become even more efficient on offense, that this is a really dangerous unit that could really be capable of a lot. So I like that shout out. That's a good one there, DJ. All right, let's move on to our final segment. When we come back, we're going to talk about this Aggie wide receiver group and whether or not we think, I mean, it really, it has been phenomenal so far this year. So our question to the fans, and we're going to talk about this here in a second, is this the best Aggies wide receiver core we have ever seen? Is this the best one ever that has come through College Station? So stick with us, and we'll be right back with that discussion after this. Today's episode is brought to you by Square. Your favorite neighborhood spots run on Square. These are certain businesses that truly make the neighborhood feel like a home. Whether it's the local sports bar packed on game days, the coffee shop that knows your order by heart, or the corner deli that's been serving your community for decades, these are the places that bring people together. When neighborhood businesses thrive, the whole neighborhood thrives. Those local spots are what make the neighborhood feel like home, and so many of them run on Square, including Tortilleria, Mitiera, Aggieland Safari, Stellar Southern Cafe, LJ's Barbecue, and Dairy Bar, just to name a few. Square is a proud partner of more than 4 million businesses around the world. You can go to square.com/go/lockedoncollege to learn more. But before you do, go support your favorite neighborhood spot. You'll be happy you did. Square, see you in the neighborhood. Today's episode is also brought to you by DoorDash. It's almost the weekend, so it's time to look back and crown this week's MVP on Who Delivered, powered by DoorDash. Just like you can win every Saturday with DoorDash Streaks, saving more every time you order, these players delivered when it mattered most. Let's break it down. For Texas A&M, I think it's pretty clear. Marcel Reed delivered in a big way on Saturday night against Notre Dame, making that clutch fourth and goal, fourth quarter touchdown to take the lead with just seconds to go and put them over the top to win that football game. When the pressure was on, Reed came through, no hesitation and no delay. And if you've been watching week after week, this performance wasn't a fluke. Reed is definitely on a streak of high performance. And just like Reed delivered for the Aggies, DoorDash delivers your Saturdays. With DoorDash Streaks, you can save every Saturday on your order, stack it up all season, and you could save up to $250, including $100 in DoorDash credits. Order this Saturday, keep the streak alive, fuel your game day, only with DoorDash. Terms apply, promo period through November 18th. All right, DJ, we have a bit of a conversation that we need to have here in terms of, is this Texas A&M wide receiver core the best that we have ever seen? It's a difficult question because there have been a lot of talented receivers that have come through Texas A&M. You talk about Mike Evans, you talk about Ryan Swope, Christian Kirk, a lot of these guys that a couple of them are in the NFL now. I mean, Mike Evans is still to this day one of the best wide receivers in the NFL. But this receiver group right now has done something that I think is extremely impressive. Mario Craver himself has more receiving yards than like 60-something odd teams in college football combined. Like entire teams, he has more receiving yards than. That is crazy. And then Concepcion has been incredible as well. He's got something like 200 and whatever yards. I mean, I've got all the stats here that I'll bring up here in a second, but it really does beg the question. If this isn't the best wide receiver core that Texas A&M has ever had, which I think it is right now, at least through the first 3 games, I mean, is there a better one? Have you ever seen a better one in Aggieland?
I don't think so. I feel like with Texas A&M, they always have one kind of standout guy, and then everybody else is just kind of like, I wasn't going to say mediocre, but like they're nowhere near. Like you can tell there's a significant talent difference between those two guys. Like with Craver and Concepcion, it feels like they're both 1A and 1B. There's no true wide receiver one. And both of them are just guys that can, completely flip the field on any sort of play. And they can honestly score anywhere. And I feel like it's just special. I mean, I haven't seen anything like it.
Yeah, I mean, so I'm going to bring up these stats here, and I kind of want to. I don't really know how to extrapolate this over an entire season because I can't imagine that it almost feels unsustainable because they've been so good. But listen to some of the things that this wide receiver core has done so far this season. There's 670 yards just between Mario Craver and KC Concepcion are more than the entire offense of 68 different FBS programs, including Texas, Notre Dame, Clemson, and South Carolina. Craver had 207 yards and a touchdown, 29.6 yards per reception against Notre Dame. And he became the first Texas A&M wide receiver with 3 straight 100-yard games since Ryan Swope in 2012. The first Aggie with a 200-yard receiving game against a ranked opponent since Mike Evans in 2013. His 173 first-half yards more than any other Aggie receiver has posted an entire game since Christian Kirk's 189 against Wake Forest in 2017. That was the first half. His 207-yard performance ranks 7th all-time in Texas A&M single-game receiving list. He leads the nation with 443 yards. He already has 3 more catches, 75 more yards, and 1 more touchdown than his entire 2024 season at Mississippi State. He's 131 yards shy of Texas A&M's 2024 receiving leader overall, which was Noah Thomas last year with 574. And he's on pace for 2,000 yards. That's just Mario Craver. And if you talk about KC Concepcion, obviously it wasn't the same eye-popping stats, but he has 13 catches for 227 yards and 3 scores this season. And he's also got a punt return for a touchdown. So, I the only other wide receiver cores that I can think of that kind of touch this one, I think you kind of have to go back to, is it 2012? I think it's got to be 2012.
Was it the one?
Yeah,
with,
I think it's got to be 2012. It's Mike Evans, who had 82 receptions for 1,105 yards and 5 scores. Ryan Swope, who had 72 for 913 and 8 scores. Uzoma and Wachaku had 485 yards and 7 scores. They also had Malcolm Kennedy on that team, who was a really good player. And then if you go to 2013, that one was Mike Evans, who had 1,394 yards and 12 scores. Malcolm Kennedy had 658. Travis Labhart had 626 and 8 scores. Darrell Walker had 818 yards and 5 scores. They also had Ricky Seals-Jones on that team. I don't know, man. It just feels like, at least so far, this has got to be I know it's just 3 games, but right now it seems like this group at least has an opportunity to be the most productive Texas A&M wide receiver group we've ever seen.
Yeah, I feel like we also look back on the former wide receiver groups and we're thinking about, oh, these are all NFL guys. Mm-hmm. Like, they had to be good. I think it's one of those things that it's going to be hard to tell right now. But, 10, 15 years down the road, we're going to be like, oh, yeah, that was the group.
Yeah.
Both of those guys definitely have NFL talent.
Yeah. I mean, you could talk about like 2015 and 2016 maybe, where they had Christian Kirk and Ricky Seals-Jones and Josh Reynolds and Speedy Noyle. But even then, like, this group is set to outpace both of those units. And, obviously that 2012-2013 group had Johnny Manziel. The 2015-2016 group had Trevor Knight at quarterback in 2016. And in 2015, it was Kyle Allen, and Kyler Murray got in there a little bit. But, I don't know, man. I'm not trying to be too hyperbolic here, but it just seems like this A&M wide receiver group is really, really set up to do something special. And if they keep it up, I think that title is theirs for the taking. So we'll have to see how it goes. They've got a lot of tough games left, some really good defenses. But right now, I think that we can at least put them in the conversation that, hey, this receiver group, they have a chance to be the best that Texas A&M has ever seen. So we'll see how that goes going forward. That's going to do it for another episode of Locked On Aggies. Thank you so much for making Locked On Aggies your first listen today. But it's another big moment for Locked On. College football fans, Locked On and Fire TV present College Football Kickoff, your ultimate college football weekly preview. Drake Toll of Locked On Big 12 leads the conversation alongside two-time AP Coach of the Year Gary Patterson, former college star Jesse Holley, and Locked On's local experts. It's a college football preview that only Locked On can do. You can catch College Football Kickoff every Thursday throughout the season only on Fire TV. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to our channel, give me a follow over on Texas A&M Aggies on SI and on X at Matt Galatzan. Follow DJ on X at DJ Burt, and we will see you next time.